Hey, what's up guys? Welcome to another video. So in this video, we're going to be taking a look at the recently released guidance for SkyTV. We'll go through it, see what it says, and give you our thoughts on it. Okay, so when talking about SkyTV, it always hits close to home because it was literally like my childhood. And if you're brought up in New Zealand, you know what I mean. It was literally like the Netflix of our childhood. Anyway, that's a bit off topic, so let's get right into it. So yesterday morning, SkyTV released an increased guidance. This isn't their first increase that they've released over the last couple of months. This is their third. And every single one of them have had an increase. So the first one was released in September, the second one was released in November, and then there's the recent one that was released.
Now if we jump to the revenue, Sky now expects FY21 revenue to be in the range of 695 million to 715 million. So now if we go back to the first guidance, the range was between 660 million to 700 million. And then in November, they increased the guidance to 680 million to 710 million. So in terms of the revenue guidance from the first one and the latest one, the revenue range increased from 5 to 2%, where the bottom range increased by 5% and the top range only increased by 2%. And if we do the same thing with net profit after tax, now the revised guidance is 35.5 million to 45 million. And if we go back to the first guidance, it used to be only just 10 to 20 million. So it isn't quite a bit of increase in terms of net profit.
So now that we've looked at their revenue increase and their net profit increase, let's take a look at the reason behind why they've given these figures. The reason Sky has given is that the increased revenue and profit expectations for FY21 are due to further one-off cost savings, a second half management reforecast, ongoing cost control, and a continued improvement in satellite and streaming revenues. So if we were to analyze this, further one-off cost savings, they don't mention specifically what they're saving cost on, but we can assume it's something big because it was notable enough to mention it in this document. Second half management reforecast. We're not too sure what this potentially means, but it could be a reforecast of the number of employees that they hire, or they may be potentially reducing their headcount. Ongoing cost control and continued improvement in satellite and streaming revenues. So the ongoing cost control is a must. For a company that has been making losses throughout the years, they need to really focus on this. So it's a good sign that they're mentioning that they're controlling their costs. As for the continued improvement in satellite and streaming revenues, the satellite portion of it just refers to their normal Sky TV. So you have Sky Movies, Sky Sports, all those Nickelodeon and Cartoon Network channels, etc. However, the streaming revenues refers to the merger of NEON and Lightbox. In 2019, I believe it was, Sky bought Lightbox from Spark. And then in 2020 July, Sky merged Lightbox with NEON into a single platform. So that's what they're referring to when they talk about streaming revenues. If we move to the next paragraph, it says, it is particularly encouraging to see improvements in our satellite customer loyalty. So customer loyalty is very important. And this shows that even though there's other streaming services like Disney Plus and Netflix, their customer loyalty is still there. And people are choosing to keep their subscription instead of unsubscribing.
So if we move further down, given that the announcement mentioned the increase in revenue and profit, they have also mentioned the revised guidance includes the impact of the proposed sale of OSB assets to NEP New Zealand Limited announced in August. So what can we take away from this? Although there was a significant increase in net profit, we can't be sure how much of it was actually from the improvement in satellite and streaming revenues. But if majority of the impact was from satellite and streaming, that's a really good sign. As for a $300 million company generating 35 to 40 million net profit after tax may actually make Sky an attractive buy. However, on the flip side, if the increase in guidance is due to this one-off sale, the guidance isn't as attractive. On top of that, this sale is pending on Commerce Commission approval, which they do say is quite likely to happen.
Okay, so before we give our final opinion on this announcement, let's have a quick summary. Sky has guided from the previously guided revenue of 680 million to 710 million to now 695 million to 715 million. The same with net profit after tax. Previously, they guided 20 million to 30 million and now 37.5 million to 45 million. They've given these guidance based on two factors: the improvement in satellite and streaming revenues. However, because Sky have also mentioned that the revised guidance includes the impact of the proposed sale of OSB assets to NEP New Zealand Limited, we can't be sure that the increase in revenue is actually from this one-off sale or from the streaming and satellite improvements. So now the question is, does this increase in guidance change my mind on Sky as a stock? For me personally, although I love the company and it was a big part of my childhood, I still don't see a future for it. It's good to see that they're increasing their revenues through streaming services and also expanding into broadband. But just for me personally, I just don't see a future for it while online streaming is taking off. And there's competitors like Netflix and Disney Plus As for other competitors, they do have Spark Sports, who also took the cricket rights away from them. And because I'm a big fan of cricket, I might have to switch to Spark Sports, which will also impact their revenue. So, because my massive contribution to Sky Sports will be missing, since I'll probably have to switch to Spark Sports to get my cricket, SkyTV is a no for me. But on a serious note, because I just see too much competition for them, I don't see them as a long-term buy. But it will be impressive if they can live up to these new revised guidance. Also, I know that they're launching broadband, and that might bring in some extra revenue, but there is also a lot of competition in the broadband sector. And to further add to that point, we don't necessarily know that Sky's broadband will be up to the level of the other providers. So again, for me personally, because I just see too much competition and all those other factors I mentioned, SkyTV is probably not a buy for me.
For me personally, I think you gotta give them a chance. If the majority of their revenue increase is actually from the satellite and streaming services and not much from the one of sale, and if they can continue to make say like $30 million in profit, the $300 million price point isn't actually that bad. On top of that, they are launching Sky Broadband this year, which can potentially work well with their bundle and help boost their sales. This being said, I probably won't buy the stock personally, just because there's too much uncertainty for me in the distant future, but they certainly won't be a company that I would want to short.
So that was our take on Sky TV and their new increased guidance. Although we have opposing yet similar opinions, what are your thoughts on Sky TV? And one thing to keep in mind, that the next release for any sort of financial result is 23rd of February 2021. This is when they'll release their 6 months ending 31st December 2020, which is not that far away, so might want to keep a close eye out for that. So as always, make sure to hit that subscribe button and like button if you haven't so already, and we'll catch you next time.